Oh yeah, love it.
Hey guys, Tez here. Today I'm going to be taking you through how to replace the fan on the T-GT wheelbase. I do this because the fan is very clicky, very distracting to get through a race. I'd just like to give a shout out to the guy from Sim Racing Garage who did the original review on this. He tore it down pretty thoroughly, and I'll link that video in the description below. Alright, let's get started. Okay, so what you're going to need for this job is a hand drill, a bit set, a little attachment that goes into the drill and attaches to the bits. The two bits you'll need are one of these, which is just a standard Phillips head, and one of these, which is like a hex head sort of attachment. And those are the two screw types you'll need to get in. And then most critically, you'll need a fan. This one is a 5-volt fan, and it's very important that it is 5-volt because that's the only voltage that the T-GT puts out to power its fan. Okay, so just behind the wheel here, there's these three very long screws which extend into the base. So we'll just begin to remove those. You might need to move the wheel a little bit. About yay long. So the next ones are underneath these little plastic units here. So we'll just remove that, maybe with a flathead or fingernail, or there we go, just did it with a fingernail. And below there, there's a, not sure if you can see that, there is a screw in there, which is just a Phillips head. Change our bit over. Something like that. Same thing on the other side. Keep these all grouped together somewhere. So around the front, we just need to take this one out. It's yeah, next to the transducer. Now we flip it around, and on the underside, we need to take out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So let's get started on that. I just had to change hex heads because the other one didn't really fit that well. Some of them can be quite difficult to get out, especially if you don't have the exact right hex head. Okay, so we've removed the 6 screws from underneath. The 3 screws are just above that steering wheel, and the 2 screws that were hidden by the flaps, and also the final screw at the rear, which was the one next to the transducer right here. So now, this should be able to pop off. There we are. Plonk that over there. So here's the internals of the T-GT. Now, as you can see, the motor's over here, the transducer's over here. You don't use that on PC, it's only on Gran Turismo. The cooling fan might be very difficult to get an image of this, but as you can see, it's mounted here next to the motor, blowing directly up and out of the case. And as for the fan itself, we'll take that apart in a second and show you exactly what it is. But the fan runs from over here, and there is a cable tie holding it in, and it runs all the way out to a little 2-pin connector. Not sure if you can see that, but right there. So we'll take a closer look. Okay, so I've just taken the fan out of its sheath, and we'll zoom up on this a bit later, but it's a Yonglin Tech 5-volt brushless DC fan. I just want to run through why I selected this fan. It is a 5-volt 3-pin fan, which is not what we're looking for. We're looking for a 2-pin fan, but that's okay because it comes with this, which is a 3-pin connector, which goes into the fan itself, and then it comes with 2 wires here, so you can connect it to existing 2-pin fan connections as long as you snip the wire and then connect them using these. Not sure if you can see that. These little connector pins, and I'll show you how that works in a moment. Okay, so I just wanted to confirm what happens when the T-GT gets plugged into a power source. So I'm just going to plug it in. And the fan spins up as soon as it starts. So that's how we'll be able to verify that the replacement works. Alright, so here we have the Noctua 5-volt 20mm deep, 40mm diameter fan. And it pretty much matches the 40mm diameter of the other fan. This one's only 10mm deep. Now they do make this Noctua in a 10mm deep, and the added benefit of that 10mm one is that it actually comes with a 3-pin to 2-pin connector, whereas this one doesn't. So we're just going to use the kit in the box, which allows us to connect it to any fan header. We'll just start by inserting this into the existing rubber grommet, and you know, you can now just have a loose fit around that, around the edge of it. As long as it's pointing up in the same direction, that should be fine. And yeah, as you can see, it's a little bit finicky, but that just sitting like that should just work a treat. We'll reattach this. It's back on. Just make sure that none of the rubber is, you know, touching any of the fan blades at all, and that should work fine. And next step will be to snip the cable from the existing fan. I'll do that in a moment. Okay, before we snip the cable from the other fan, this is the cable running from the Noctua, and we've got our little connector piece here, so we'll just connect those two like so. So that fan is now connected to these 2 wires, and then we need to snip the 2 wires from this thing. We'll do that next. Alright, before you snip any wires, make sure that the power is unplugged. Very, very important. Unplug that power. Now, time to turn into a vasectomy doctor and realize all the consequences that go along with snipping this thing. Here goes. What I'd say is go in from the fan a little bit because you won't be able to reconnect it if you don't have enough wire to connect to those little Noctua clips. So I'd say go halfway between the little wire clip here and the end of the fan. Just snip that little baby like that. Now I don't think I got an exactly clean cut the first time around, so I'm just going to trim a little bit off the end of that. There we go. All right. Okay, now that you've trimmed it, you should just be able to pull those wires out of that cable tie. So now you've got a lot more wire to play with, and you can grab your little Noctua piece, which is the wire connector. I'm not sure if you can see that, but what you want to do is you want to grab your black wire, your ground, from the T-GT fan connection, and from the new fan that we've put in, you want to grab the black wire from that, and what you want to do is you want to plug these into this wire connector, and you want to put them in all the way. You don't need to strip the wires or anything like that. You want to put them in all the way. Once you're certain that they're in, you basically just press down on this. Probably need some pliers for this actually, so I'll be back in a moment. Okay, so here we are. We've got the two black wires into the little wire connector. And just grab your pliers. Make sure they're flat. And just snip that shut. And it should be a flat, now fully connected circuit. And you just do the same to the reds. So here we have the positives. This one's from the T-GT, and this one's from the fan. Make sure those are all the way in. Oops. And just snip them shut. Sorry, not snip, but close them shut. So now you have basically two fully enclosed circuits running from the T-GT wheelbase all the way to your fan. Okay, so I'm just going to plug the T-GT back in. And the fan is spinning. However, there's still noise, and it appears to be coming from the fan inside this. So the problem all along wasn't the cooling fan, it's the fan inside this motor assembly. So let's take a look at that. Always be certain just to remove that power before you do any work on that T-GT. Okay, so this is the little fan inside of the motor. As you can see, that spins around, and I believe that's what's causing the noise. Now what I'm about to do, I highly recommend not doing. I'm going to spray some WD-40 into the axle that I can see in there. Now I'm sure you're meant to use some sort of lubricant, oil, machine lubricant. This is the only thing that I've got in the house which has got like a fine tip nozzle like this. So I'm going to give it a try and just see if it works. So I can see there's a bit of axle above that fan there, and just a little bit below there. So I'm going to try spraying both of those with the power disconnected, remember. So here goes. Okay, that looks like it's covered. There's not really enough gap under there. to get in, but I'm just going to spray anyways. Okay. Give that a spin. Move a bit more of that down there. And I'll plug it back in and test her. Okay, so now I have the microphone right next to the motor and the fan. I'm just going to plug it back in. And it's very, very quiet. I believe that may have worked. Now, you saw some lubricant spray as I turned it on, but hopefully nothing critical has been covered by that, apart from the motor itself. So it sounds like the issue is fixed for now. I've just disconnected the power, and I've noticed that there's a little bit of lubricant down the bottom that splashed out and leaked. So just disconnected the power, and I'm just going to wipe that down with some paper towel, clean that up a little bit before I reassemble the wheel. It's quite a lot cleaner. I don't really see anything else there that's got lubricant on it. So yeah, next step will be reassembly. Okay, so let's reassemble this thing. Let's hide away those cables. That would go on like that, so the air vent goes over the motor. I think we should maybe start from the underside. Make sure all that lines up. I've just gone ahead and sort of hand tighten these, so I'll just drill these in. So just the one at the top of the rear of the transducer, I'm just going to manually hand do this one in. So then you have these ones at the top of the wheelbase, right here, and with the hidden rubber grommets as well, which head the screws away, so just do those up. And then just hide them with the rubber grommet. And the same on the other side. And then finally the 3 long screws at the front of the T-GT. Pop those in and tighten them up. So there we have it. The T-GT replaced the fan and also lubricated the internal motor fan. Hopefully this resolves the noise issues that I've had with it. And what I'll do is I'll test this over the next couple of weeks and only release the video if it has indeed solved the issues. So if you do end up watching this, it's because it worked. So thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.